Welcome back, everybody, to the Dusty Bender podcast. I am one of your hosts, Chance Watson, with you as always, Taylor Wells. Episode 119 coming at you, folks, today. And Taylor, I gotta tell you, Babcock is currently going through my phone as we speak.
Yeah, you might like that though.
You think so?
Yeah, I think you want him to know what you've been taking pictures of.
It's just screenshots of alleged stuff about him looking at other people's phones.
That and like bugs.
Bugs.
I see you. Yeah, I see you as like a bug guy. You take pictures of bugs and shit.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, I do. Why wouldn't you?
Oh, well,
No.
by that logic.
Yeah.
That makes total sense.
That's right.
Yeah, you know what? So we didn't have an episode last week, folks, because Taylor was on his deathbed.
Correct.
But now he's doing much better. How you feeling, Taylor?
I feel great. Jumped right from the NyQuil buzz to like an actual alcoholic buzz. So
Nice.
I think, just in the grand scheme of things, I'm doing a lot better.
That's good. That's good.
Mhm.
Glad to hear you're not dying, especially with the vid going around again.
It sure is, man. It's fucking ramping back up. Hide your kids.
Hide your kids. That's right. It's the COVID man's coming to get you. Folks, before we get into the show today, we have some people we need to thank, as usual. First off, folks, let's start with the Hockey Podcast Network. The great folks over at the Hockey Podcast Network allow us to be part of their network and provide us with a lot of resources to reach out to you guys and to get our great hockey message and all of our wonderful info to you in a timely manner and in a professional manner. So once again, thank you to the Hockey Podcast Network. Jump on over to the hockeypodcastnetwork.com and check out all the shows in the network. We've got some great co-hosts. This is actually the first episode since the live stream that I was a part of semi-recently, about 2 weeks ago, where we did a recap of the Pacific Division, which, you know what? Because of that, we're going to do that today.
Sure.
So we're going to be talking about the Pacific Division. Spoiler alert already on my picks because they're kind of already out in the world. But we'll get to see Taylor be a little contrarian in this episode.
Yeah, just the way you like it, babe.
That's right. That's right. All right. So Hockey Podcast Network. Next up, folks, the Hub Tavern out in Spokane, Washington on Monroe. Folks, the Hub is your home away from home. The premier and only hockey bar in Spokane, Washington, part of the Anchor Alliance, part of the Seattle Kraken bar network. Folks, Dave and Mona with the Hub Tavern are some of the greatest people that you will ever meet in your life. They're to help support local communities and local hockey. And you know what? Some of the cheapest beer you'll find today. You can't find anything cheap nowadays.
Yeah, I remember drinking $1 Rainier cans in Moscow, and I'm sure they're $6 now.
That definitely makes us old, for sure.
Well, yeah, that's why I didn't say the year.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. The Hub Tavern, where the beer is super cold and super cheap. But you got to go in there with cash. It is a cash bar. Got to remember that.
Is that the official slogan?
The Hub Tavern, it's a cash bar. Remember that.
Remember that. And the beer is cold and cheap.
The beer is cold and cheap. Just as cold as your ex's heart. Definitely colder than mine.
Yeah. If that's a combination, that's really cold.
Fuck, man, super chill. We're talking Antarctic level cold.
Wow. I did just learn the India moon lander went 3 inches underneath the surface of the South Pole, and it was 140 degrees colder than the surface.
It went 3 inches down?
3 inches down.
Did the lander try to convince it that it was actually 7 to 8?
Yes. After the fact. Before it went to sleep. Now it's sleeping for 2 weeks, so it definitely, it needed to...
yeah, you liked that probe, didn't you?
That's right.
You like that big probe.
I hated it. I'm 140 degrees colder now.
Oh, shit. We are not sponsored by the India space program, by the way.
Not yet.
Not. We should make a call.
Yeah.
India space program, here we come. So yes, folks, go check out the Hub Tavern on Monroe. Follow them on social media. I believe they are the most active on Facebook. You can get all the updates. I believe they have a very cool event coming up. I would need to look it up. It's in October sometime. Dave was explaining it to me, but I was a few beers in at the time. Something
Hmm.
about Witch's Ride. What do you think about
You a few beers in. Sorry, I missed what it actually is going to be about.
Witch's Ride? Apparently,
Just ride.
yeah. Which apparently it's a pub crawl around in the area, and all these women dress up as witches and get on bikes and ride around the neighborhood and stop and hit
Nice.
all these bars.
What
I
fucking cool shit, dude! Like we don't do that, or I'm just not part of the community that does that fun shit around here.
well, no, because you don't know the right people, and because you don't know Dave.
I'm not cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we're not hanging out with Dave. So, and I believe the unofficial slogan for that pub crawl is "Even witches have itches."
Ooh. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay. I can get in
okay,
on that.
yeah, I can get out of that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and finally, folks, last but not least, longtime supporter and listener of the show, Fire Chief John Miller, always there sponsoring us. He's actually going to get a shout out on the show today because he commented on our tweet earlier today and was agreeing with somebody that we don't agree with. So, you know what?
Ooh.
That's fun. That's fun. We can always get into arguments. And you know what? When you're starting to hear hard opinions from a Nashville fan, you just kind of blow it off.
We'll just charge him double.
Start telling us that Pekka Rinne deserves to be in the Hall of Fame or something.
Yeah, like UC Saros is a top 3 goaltender. Is that what the argument was about? I'm just guessing.
Miller is listening to this as we're recording, and as I'm saying this in the recording, he is calling me. Like as soon as he turns this on, I'll get a call at the 7:43 mark. He's like, "You fucking asshole."
I've been listening for years and I'm turning this shit off.
How dare you besmirch the great name of UC Saros and Pekka Rinne?
It should be Juicy.
Should be.
Juicy
Saros?
Juicy Saros sounds like a cool little like Starburst competitor.
Yes, I do like that. All right, folks, that's all the people that we need to give shout outs to today. We're going to try to get into the show. Quick news stuff, just rapid fire stuff. So the most latest thing, the Big Brother hockey podcast of all the hockey podcasts out there, Spit and Chicklets comes out with a big bomb saying that Babcock is doing Babcock things. For those who are unfamiliar, Mike Babcock was recently rehired into the coaching world by the Columbus Blue Jackets and has wasted no time invading the personal lives of his players, so to speak, allegedly. I believe the claim from the Chicklets is that Babcock has taken the phones of players and has gone through them and then airplays the photos in his office on the big screen.
That's awesome.
Allegedly awesome. To them, it's to kind of get an inside look into what they're doing, their personal lives, and what they've been doing in the off season to see if they're absolute fuckwads. That's what Chiclet says.
Babcock just wants to see a couple free dick pics, dude.
Or titties.
Well, I mean, who sends titties anymore? I do. But
fair. You would think though, like he's a professional NHL Stanley Cup winning professional coach. You think that he can't get his own titties?
That's what I'm saying is dick pics, dude. I don't know if he can get his own dick pics.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's the other side of the spectrum that he's not able to crack into.
Not only that, but he's like putting it up on the big screen for the rest of the team to look at. So he's like, oh, this is what your team's working with here, folks.
So what I heard was he was only going through the phones of the guys who won't shower with the rest of the team.
That's right. I did hear that. Yeah, because you can't build team chemistry if you haven't seen it.
That's right. I mean, how are you supposed to know the pecking order of who's going to get the most assists? I mean, come on. Well, how are you going to build a third line if you haven't seen any of those guys' pieces, dude? Come on.
Well, guys, looking at starting the season this year and want us to all be on the same page. and that's going to be that's going to involve a lot of grit and a lot of hurt and a lot of dick.
So I want you guys to take a quick look at this picture. I'm pretty sure Kent Johnson's on the first line. Am I right?
That sounds about right. That sounds about right.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good. Yeah, oh yeah, the lines just like drastically shift. Like Wierenski's now in like a bottom tier guy. It's like, oh, that poor man.
Poor guy. That poor guy's got a little button down there, and he is not an alpha apparently.
Oh shit. Okay, so Chicklets makes this claim in the morning after their show. Everything goes live. The hockey world ignites. Everybody grabs their pitchforks. Columbus comes out with a statement, not only from Babcock, but from Captain Boone Jenner as well.
Real quick. That means you have a ridiculous reach in the hockey community. If you can post one thing like that, and an NHL team is putting out a fucking PR
immediately. Yeah, immediately.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Right. And if we could, do we need to dig up the argument of whether or not fucking Ryan Whitney and Bissonnette should have that kind of power? No. That's either here nor there. You know,
super political.
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily political. It's just like we're trusting the hockey acumen of a guy that, we'll put it this way, Henrik Lundqvist has more career points than Bissonnette.
That's awesome. That's such a great stat. That is the epitome of hockey stats right there. That's as good as it gets.
So yeah, it's hard to take his advice. Ryan Whitney actually was a decent hockey player in his time, mm-hmm. So you know it can kind of go that, but you know they're Barstool, and Barstool's gonna Barstool, like that's what they do. So anyway, comes out, Blue Jackets reignites. They say, hey, you know, yeah, Babcock did this, but it was all good natured. Like, you know, when he calls them in and he has these initial interviews with the players, like he wants them to share photos of friends and family, and it's all good natured. It's just trying to like it's building, you know, getting to know them kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So they fire it back, and you know now because it's Barstool, this has now become a shouting match. You know, like Biz is throwing up anonymous screenshots of text messages from players, and you know now it's just a he said she said. We'll probably never know because players are not stupid enough to actually come out and fucking call their own coach out. Otherwise, they're not going to have a fucking job. So
it's Columbus.
Yeah. So all right, Taylor, with the available information, who's right, who's wrong, who's full of shit?
I think it's just players talking with a guy like Bissonnette. They've had a couple fucking shots of whatever Biz is feeding them for the day, and they it's just a better story if they say like, yeah, it's for him to enjoy our personal lives or something, right? Like that's just a better story, right? So I think I'm not going to say that they're wrong because like that's what they do. That's literally their job is to like just blow up fucking hockey news and make it funny and make it interesting for people. They're a news station, right? So
there's sensationalism.
Sure.
Like
so,
we don't.
Like, it doesn't really matter, dude.
The days of tuning into Spit and Chicklets for actual like logical hockey analysis are long gone. Oh, sure. I was an original Chicklets listener. I listened way back in the day when Rear Admiral actually got more than 3 words in an episode now, and it was decent because it was good old boys hockey talk, and I liked that. Now it's, you know, stardom has gone to their heads, and they're basically just the, you know, the TMZ of the hockey world essentially, which sucks, but whatever. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's, as much as I don't like a lot of the real hockey journalists in the world because, you know, they've never played the game. It's their job and they think that they know everything. Wyshynski, they come out and they're like, well, it's hard to, you know, who do we believe, Mike Babcock or Bissonnette? Like, shit, I'm rocking a hard place. No one's denying that this incident happened. It's more of we're talking about particulars. You know, I think early on it was reported that Babcock was doing this in a sense to like kind of like a Mitch Marner thing where he had Mitch Marner like rank the players and then he showed everybody. It sounded early on like that was this case. Like they pulled up the phone and then they throw it on the big screen for everybody to look at. and like judge, basically. I As more info comes out, I don't think that happened. So I don't know.
He
I
wouldn't
kind of
do
lean
that
toward
again, right? Like he wouldn't dance on the
there's
fucking
no
line
way.
instantly.
There's
There's
no
no
way.
way.
He can't be that fucking dumb.
That's
There's
so like that's cement brick head, dude.
yeah.
Like what are you
And
like, no way he would do that.
so I'm leaning to what I think happened here is that you've got probably a young player or two that gave Biz an incomplete picture of shit,
Mm-hmm.
and was pissed off at Babcock for another reason. Like Babs probably came in on day one. He's like, "Hey, yeah, you're not going to training camp. Fuck you."
Just
And
skates him on day one. I
right,
mean,
like
yeah.
after showing him a picture of his family or something, Babs is like, "Yeah, you're not a family dude. Get the fuck out of my locker room." Um,
You don't have kids.
yeah, exactly. Like you don't have any grit, you don't have any heart,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to get out of my locker room. And that's just it's not okay for him. So this player probably went to Biz and was like, "Hey man, fucking Babs is, going through my phone and fucking, kind of embellishing and making all this kind of shit up." So Biz, probably is good. I genuinely don't think that they just made some shit up.
Yeah, there's
I
no
don't
way.
think that that's happened. I think that they took an incident that did happen and twisted it into something that it wasn't. Um, and
100%.
the so and it's not. I'm not taking Babs's side. I'm not carrying water for Babs. It's I think the only thing that tits me onto the side of Columbus here is Boone Jenner's statement. So if Boone like believed this but didn't want to burn himself, he could have just said no comment.
Mm-hmm.
The agent of Boone Jenner has put out a statement saying that he doesn't want to comment on this incident at this time, and then could have left it at that, and then everybody would have been like, "Oh, read between the lines." Like Boone obviously, was one of the people, but that didn't happen. Like Boone came out and said, like, this is not what happened. Like he's taken Babs' side. So I don't know. I'm kind of inclined to believe Columbus here in a little bit.
Yeah, even from the other side of things, like that's definitely what happened. It's just
Mm,
blown out of proportion. So I don't think it's anything to worry. It honestly, the biggest thing is it sucks because Columbus had a ton of momentum, right? Like Columbus brought in two big fucking D
yeah.
free trades, right? I think Provorov was for sure a trade. Um, yeah, and then drafted who honestly should have gone second overall. It just kills the locomotive, right? So that's the only thing that sucks. I think is like
Kills the momentum that they had.
exactly. So like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what actually was true because it's not that big of a fucking deal. Like you're gonna tell like it's just we're looking for a story in the
If
summer.
if it's what we thought it was, it is a big story, but
I,
it's not.
ish though, right? Like even
If
the worst case scenario. I
if
mean,
Babs is
it's
just
I don't
like
know.
if Babs is just ambushing guys in a team meeting, going like a teacher in the
Sure,
class, like if he's a
sure.
teacher in class, hey, give me your phone, and he hands it up, and then he immediately fucking throws it on the big screen in the locker room that they usually watch film on, and he's like, oh, let's take a look at your date from last night, and fucking is going through the guy's fucking nudie film, then yeah, it's kind of a problem.
Sure, sure. Is it a problem if it's a completely other coach? Is it a problem if it's John
Yeah,
Cooper?
yeah, I think it is, but
Okay,
John Cooper wouldn't do this sort of thing.
that's fair. I just I
You
don't know.
don't hear this type of shit about John Cooper or Rod Brindamore or anything like that.
And maybe,
It's
but maybe that's because those guys they could do the exact same thing, and the way that they portray it is
get
different than
away
the way
with it
that
a little bit.
Mike Babcock puts it on the fucking big screen.
I
So I don't
understand
know.
that
I don't
because
know.
Babs is under a bit of a spotlight, but rightly
100%.
so. He is like
Sure, sure,
it's earned.
100%.
Like it's not like he's a victim here. Like he was an asshole.
Sure.
There's a whole segment of Dallas and for some reason Red Wings fans that won't forgive him for not giving Mike Modano his 1500th game.
I mean, yeah. Isn't
Like
it, wasn't it Babcock that didn't give like Spezza was the same way, right? Like he killed his
Spezza,
fucking
Mike
streak or
Modano,
whatever. Yeah.
and then Franzen like later came out and said like because of like mental abuse from Babcock, he like retired early.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's fucked up. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, but I hope it's nothing crazy. I think if the team felt the need to come out and especially if Boone Jenner was there, I don't think it was anything huge, but who knows?
Yeah, no, I hear you. Okay. Before we get into it, I want to hit on one last piece of news because I'm a homer here, and this is the rumor. The rumor mill, the rumor mill. Said well, the rumor mill. This is actually from a fairly reliable Chicago-based source, saying that we should not be surprised to see Patrick Kane sign with the Detroit Red Wings.
I just can't hate a team more if that happens, dude. A terrible idea.
He punched one cabbie, and now the guy's got a reputation.
You know what? He punched one cabbie and I liked him.
Yeah.
And then he started. There was started to be rumors of him going to the fucking Red Wings, and I just instantly brought the cabbie back into
His
it.
buddy is there. All right, he's
reevaluated.
So, in all honesty, like analysis of this, like does from a Red Wings fan perspective, does this help the Red Wings out? Not a ton. Like adding Patrick Kane to your lineup is obviously going to upgrade it, especially if you're the Red Wings. But it's not a needle mover like it would have been 10 years ago. Anyway, that being said, from a Kane perspective, like trying to put my head around this, like, okay, so I'm Patrick Kane. I want to go to the Red Wings. Why? Because it seems like the lazy answer of, well, DeBrincat's there and he's my buddy.
Yeah.
Like, I get that. So, but not enough. So that's not enough. So I was like trying to wrap my head around it. And the thing that I came up with is that Kane, the last time Kane was good, we were still like, oh fuck, that's Patty Kane, man. Patty Kane doing his shit. He was skating on a line with DeBrincat. And since he left, he hasn't been the same.
I mean, I think there's truth to that, right? So, I mean, if you think of Patty Kane, when he gets older, right, what he needs is someone that he can just kind of not have to put 110% into the game and just dish somebody the puck.
Yep.
Right? And I think there is some truth to that where like he needs another goal scorer on his line and he can play another 5 years, right? So if you're thinking about it like that, like I can see that argument, right? But
he's a solid playmaker. I think even the most ardent Patrick Kane haters can't deny that he's a pretty solid playmaker.
Sure. Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting if anything comes of that. I still think the Red Wings need a fucking tendy. I think they should be. I think they should be looking at a fucking tendy over Patty Kane. But that's just me.
Boy, that's absolutely true. All right, enough talk about other teams and other divisions. We came here to talk about the Pacific Division tonight, Taylor. Sure. So let's fucking do it. Okay. I need to mirror my screen. I know how to do that.
Do you?
Yeah, you showed me how to do it once.
They teach you that in your position. You're not too high up.
They do.
They just don't assign you some guy that fucking does all the technology for you.
Nope. There is an IT guy, but we work kind of hand in hand.
Gotcha.
All right, folks. So we posted this yesterday asking for some comment from you guys. These are our official predictions for the Pacific Division for this upcoming season. Not a lot of surprise. Let's start from the bottom up.
Sure.
Okay. So not a lot of surprise here on the bottom. Taylor, the San Jose Sharks, we both have them at number 8. What are your thoughts on the Sharks?
It's going to be a long year in San Jose, and they deserve it. They deserve every second of it. If you are a Sharks fan, I am not remorseful whatsoever.
Taylor's just Joaquin Phoenix Joker. You get what you fucking deserve.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to pay the price for fucking Carlson, still not get your cup, and then watch and make fun of the Ducks for being shitty for the last 6 years. You can suffer.
Okay. Yep.
So that's how I feel.
I was going to say, like, I'm looking at this daily face-off right now. It's really not even worth going through. Folks, this is a bad team. Thomas Hertl and Logan Couture are in a sea of averageness and bad. Like Philip Zadina is on this team, and he's just not good.
That's so funny. I can't believe that's where he landed.
And it's just he's trying to get. It's the only team that would probably give him a second chance, and he's just not going to get it. He's he's gonna for Philip Zadina to shine, he's gonna need somebody that's solid around him, and he's not gonna get that in Michael Granlund and Fabian Zetterlund.
That's what you think.
Oh, you a big Fabian Zetterlund fan, Taylor?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I have a couple of his jerseys. If you are a Sharks fan, all you can be excited about right now is where the Ducks and realistically the Kings were like 3 to 4 years ago, where you're just stockpiling good prospects.
Oh
So,
my God, their goalies are Capo Kakkonen and Mackenzie Blackwood.
oh yes,
This
that's
is
a recipe, dude.
this is like, it's like they're trying to be bad. Like this is
They
a bad.
definitely
This is a team designed to be terrible.
Can I guess who their top defenseman is?
You hit me.
If it's fucking Vlasic still, I don't even follow this team, but if it's fucking Vlasic, I'm gonna be pissed.
So they actually have him on the second pairing on Daily
Oh,
Faceoff.
he is still alive. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, he is. He is still breathing. The first line is Mario Ferrero and Jan Ruta.
Good. So a third pairing on any other fucking team in the league.
Yeah, any other.
Beautiful.
Vlasic is second pair with some guy named Matt Benning.
Yes.
And then we get into randomly generated names: Jacob McDonald and Radim Simek.
Yeah, those are definitely. There's no.
Those aren't real people. I don't believe that for a second.
Jennings. What was the first? What's the first name of Jennings? That's clearly generated. Matt.
Of who?
Matt Jennings. Did you say Matt Jennings?
No, I said Matt Benning.
Benning. Okay.
But he'll go by Jennings too.
Yeah,
he's like, he's so cool about it. Like the announcer calls him Jennings, and he's like, whatever.
Hey, he's like, hey, thanks, baby.
I'm getting paid to be here.
That's right. I'm making more than any of you watching this game.
That's right. It's very true. Yeah, this is a really bad team. They're gonna be probably last in the league.
Yeah, 100%. There's if you think they're making a wild card, betterhelp.com.
They're not even going to be fun to watch. Like this isn't even like a young, exciting team that might score a lot of goals and lose 7-4. Like they're just like they'll be if they don't lose 5-rip every night, it's going to be a good game for them.
Yeah, like honestly, if your team beats them 4-0, you need to.
You're getting bag skated.
Yeah, that's right.
You'll leave the rink and they'll be like, "Fucking don't even. We're not even bringing pucks tomorrow."
If you're on Columbus, don't take pictures on your phone more than like 4 days in advance.
Fuck's sakes.
Because they're coming up, baby.
Oh my god. Okay. All right. Let's move past the dumpster fire that is the San Jose Sharks and move into the slightly smaller dumpster fire that is the Anaheim Ducks.
They're so cute though.
Taylor, I'm gonna let you take it away on this one because you know a little more about the Ducks than I do.
Let's start with some optimism, Chance, shall we?
Let's do it.
New coach. Dallas Eakins was an absolute fucking pile of water trash. So they bring in Cronin, who has never been a head coach in the NHL, but you never fucking know, dude. I mean, you know, who are some of the coaches that we're talking about that came up through the AHL, right? So, I mean, Berube, Cooper, that kind of crop. So, not saying that he's gonna be a fucking Berube or Cooper. Let's be honest, but yeah. So this team is still bad. Right, they're gonna have John Gibson, so I mean anything can happen on any sort of night. They got Radko Gudas to just kind of scare you a little bit, but other than that, it's just a lot of young guys, right? I mean they're doing the thing that they should be doing at this point in the quote unquote rebuild. So they're gonna play some guys. I don't know if Leo Carlson's gonna make the team. That's like the big chatter in Ducks Nation right now, as if he's actually going to play, or he is eligible for the AHL, so he could definitely play some games there. But it's just, I think they're going to be a little better than last year. Like they're going to be a little more competitive on a nightly basis because Dallas Eakins was an absolute joke of a coach. But I mean, until they kind of have some of these guys, you know, Zegras needs to take a huge step. McTavish, you know, needs a full season, needs to take a big step. So Uh, they're not going to be that good again.
I have heard rumors that Troy Terry is the next captain.
I would love that.
Would you?
Yeah, they call him fucking Jimmy. So I don't know. I
What?
literally have no idea why, but they call him Jimmy. So if Jimmy was the next captain, I would have
It's
no
because
problem with
he's
that.
hung, right?
Yeah, he has to buy custom Jimmys.
Right. That's
Yeah,
or
yeah,
that he's no he's just the guy that always has one.
yeah, yeah. That's right. It never gets used.
Zegras is like about to go out. He's like, dude, I'm about to fucking hit a Michigan tonight. And Troy's like, dude, here,
You need this for
just
after
keeps
the game.
just keeps a roll with his sock tape in his bag.
You think he charges the guys?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you have to, right? Like if you're
Yeah,
the Jimmy guy, you got to charge him.
absolutely.
Yeah. What are those going for these days? 50
Uh,
cents.
a true autographed Troy Terry condom
Ooh,
could be upwards of 20-25 bucks.
damn.
Mhm.
I would buy that. I would put it right by my little collection of pucks back here.
Uh, like the Ducks, though, guaranteed to not allow any sort of any victory.
No, no, you're definitely not gonna climax.
You
So
no satisfaction
that's
whatsoever.
right. Yeah, it's
Satisfaction not guaranteed.
that's right. Yeah, there's no refunds. So
Damn it.
100%. Yeah, this team's gonna be bad, bro.
Okay. But I don't want to add too much because you're the Ducks aficionado on this. I do like Jamie Drysdale. There are bright spots on this team.
Young guys, right? I mean, like that.
Young
That's where
guys
they're
that
at. So
yeah,
sure.
yeah. But it's obviously a rebuilding team. I don't think they'll be as bad as they were last year, but that's not a high bar.
Fuck.
Um, and they could easily be the worst team in the division if the Sharks were not actively trying to be just dog shit. Um, and the Ducks, it's very possible they might get worse if and when they trade away John Gibson. We heard rumors, percolate out through the summer that Gibson refused to play for them. Then him and his agent walked it back a little bit, a little Maya Copa said that wasn't real, but who knows what is real nowadays, especially in the off season. From even taking the rumors out of it, don't you agree it's in their best interest to trade John Gibson this season?
No, 100%, dude.
Okay.
But I think there is truth in saying the rumors of him basically telling management that he wasn't going to even suit
Yeah.
up and play in a hockey game. I think is. I mean, people shouldn't even. If you're an actual hockey fan, right, and you know what's going on, you know that's not true. That's just not what hockey players do. And John Gibson likes to play hockey, so
Right.
yeah, he'll play for this team, but don't be surprised if we see one of the top goalies go down in the first couple weeks and John Gibson is instantly traded. Right? Like I think that's how close he is. I mean, the team knows that he needs to be traded. I think Verbeek is a smart enough human being. I mean, he was under Yzerman for a little bit, so yeah, I think you see him moved pretty quick. I think you see him move before the deadline. So and then this team is super young.
Could we see for maybe the first time in our lifetime the Buffalo Sabres ship out one of their first round picks?
No, I think I mean, based on what I've seen from
If
Buffalo and Buffalo's camp, they're obsessed with Levi. So it's just not. It's not going to happen unless he is shit for the first 3 weeks.
okay, let me pitch another one at you. Say I'm the New Jersey Devils,
100%.
and I'm a average to good goalie away from being a serious contender.
100%. 100%. I think if you look, I think they like Vanacek. I think they like who's it, Schmid, Akira. I think they like both those guys, but it's not a Devon. It's not the same thing as Buffalo, where they have a guy who could be John Gibson in 3 years, right? For all we know,
But
they
those
don't have that
teams,
guy. I just don't think they do.
those border teams, though, those ones that like the Buffaloes and the Detroits and the Ottawas of the world that have slogged through years of development to finally get to a point where they're kind of knocking on the door and there's actually hope for once. Like honestly, like all three of those teams that I just named have decent pipelines.
I
Do
mean,
you really need another first round pick?
if I'm a GM of those teams, okay, so think Buffalo, think um, one that we talked about earlier, Red Wings, right? I
I
mean,
said
you
Det-
can,
I said Detroit and Ottawa.
yeah, Detroit. I think if you're any of those teams, I am a little biased because I watch John Gibson on a regular basis. Whereas, like, is anyone tuning into San Jose versus fucking Anaheim on the East Coast? No, right? So, there's not a lot of people on half of the country that have even seen this guy play in his entire fucking career, essentially, right?
Oh,
So,
I don't know about that.
I
I
mean,
have it on good authority that Gibson is thought of as pretty highly.
it depends. It really is hot and cold, right? There's people who think he's not even a top 20 goalie, and there's people who think that he could probably be in the top five. So
I
I think
I
there's a
would say that
pretty
the people
big
who are informed
mix.
are in that latest group. The people who
Sure.
don't, the group that you just said, and I'll admit is probably the majority. The people who just don't tune into Ducks games because there hasn't been a reason to. Probably, yeah, I agree with you. They're probably uninformed and don't understand that he is probably one of the best goalies in the league.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think there's that split. So yeah, I mean he could be gone 3 weeks from the start of the season to anywhere up to the trade deadline, but there's no excuse unless Verbeek is getting like sixth round pick offers for him that he doesn't get traded. So
Sure. I look at it from that perspective of like, man, if I'm one of those teams that Gibson can backstop, can make a team from good to great,
mm-hmm.
or a great team even better. Um, I don't know if I'm one of those middle teams. I don't let somebody like Gibson pass to a cup contender who's trying to make one more kick at the can. I try to do it because Gibby's still pretty young, right? 30, 31?
I don't even know if he's 30 yet.
Oh shit. In that
Yeah,
case, I'm
we have to
pulling the
check.
trigger
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah. I think
Somebody
he's somewhere in there.
somebody get me Steve Eiserman's number.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah. All
Call
right.
him up. What the fuck you do with Sherratt, man? What's up with that?
What's going on, dude? We'll trade you.
Jesus Christ. All right. So we're both in agreement the Ducks are bad, probably round out the bottom of the division. Moving on to somehow a worse, not a worse dumpster fire, but pretty goddamn close. The Vancouver Canucks. We have the Vancouver Canucks rounding out the sixth position on our rankings list here. Taylor, who's Elias Pettersson playing for next year?
If I'm the GM of Vancouver, he's not playing for anybody else the rest of his fucking life. But it's also Vancouver, so
I was going to say, if he's got some say in his life, like he's an RFA right now, so they still hold some of his cards, but he's got some say.
yeah, ish. I mean, he can pull the I'm not gonna play or I'm gonna do a PLD and just look like I'm dressing up and then fucking suck. Um, so yeah, I mean, if you're Vancouver, there's no way you get rid of this guy. If you're a team like Boston, you're giving up whatever they fucking want for this player, right? If they
Oh
come
yeah,
to you,
on a good team, Elias Pettersson's arguably top 5, definitely top 10 in the league.
yeah, 100%. He's that good. Like he's that fucking good. So, but this is another one. I think he's getting a little more attention because he's a Canadian market, right? And Vancouver is bad. But I mean, yeah, he's just another chip. If they were to actually trade him, I mean, if they were to trade him, you're gonna see JT Miller, you're gonna see Brock Besser, you're gonna see all those guys want to leave, right? It's just the way it is. So it's the same thing if they were to move Quinn Hughes before they made him captain. So
So I was going to say, so the other piece of news that we were going to talk about, Quinn Hughes was named captain of the Vancouver Canucks. Um, Probably not a great pill to swallow if I'm Elias Pettersson.
some guys don't care about that though. You know, some guys don't give a shit. I mean,
What if you're the face of the team?
I mean, Quinn Hughes is also one of the top faces of the team, right?
I,
So
I'm that's I completely agree with that.
yeah, I think if you're JT Miller, I think there's more probably, you know, I won't say hatred, but I mean, there's definitely more of that sour taste in your mouth if you're JT Miller than Elias Pettersson. I, I JT
Is
Miller
there?
comes across to me like he's one of the guys that thinks he should be the captain of every team in the league.
I I agree with that, and I would strongly disagree that he doesn't. Like he's as soon as he's come over to this team, he's been a disappointment.
Sure. He did have a 90-point season, but I think that's a disappointment nowadays.
Well, and it's that thing of like he can put up as many points as he wants, but this team missed the playoffs by a pretty decent margin.
Sure, 100%. And I mean, we're pulling up the lineup like you have it right now. Oh, man, we're fucking. There's still some holes on this team where it's like, is Pedersen really gonna thrive with Bavoulier and Kuzmenko at the top of a lineup? No,
Kuzmenko's a stud.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Beauvillier is, yeah,
But I need so Kuzmenko. Let's jump into that. Kuzmenko, I need to see for more than one season. I think he had a great season.
fair.
I think he had a great season, but a lot of guys have good seasons, right?
Also fair.
Michael Grabner had a fucking 28 goal season, right, or something ridiculous. So
How dare you besmirch the
I mean,
name?
Michael Grabner is a fucking god amongst men, but
That's right. That's better. That's
he still had one season where he was the fucking man. You know what I mean? So
that's better. That's what
there
I
you go.
want to
Now,
hear.
well, you just didn't let me come around to
Right.
it.
How fucking dare you?
What a rube. Yeah, but other than I mean, you still got guys at levels of this team that are good. So, are they gonna top teams like the next couple we have on our list? I just don't think so. But they're gonna give teams a little bit of a challenge if they can click. That's always been their problem. They just don't. They seem like they just don't have any fucking chemistry on this team ever.
No, it doesn't. It does not seem like that. It seems like this team is kind of in disarray, honestly.
Yeah.
It's you look at this roster, and it's to me, it looks like a bunch of guys that are not destined to be here. Like how many years in a row now? It's got to be at least 3 that we've been hearing Brock Besser wants out.
Maybe he likes it.
The
Yeah,
attention.
yeah. Well, no, that's like a motivator for him as being on the trade block.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
That's fair. Yeah, I'll to cap off what you're saying. The first line, in theory, has a lot of strength, has a lot of punching power, and then it just kind of falls through from there. You got Brock Besser, who, by all intents and purposes, doesn't want to be there. JT Miller's, been fine, but only good for him, not necessarily the team. Ilya is fine, and then Connor Garland has been kind of quiet. He's a scorer, but he needs the puck passed to him, and he's not going to get it on the third line from fucking Pius Sutter.
Mm-hmm.
Defense, Quinn Hughes is the shining beacon of light on this, in an otherwise pretty average defensive core. Ian Cole is nothing to write home about, neither is Carson Soucy.
Soucy, come on, bro.
As much as we appreciate Carson Soucy's efforts back in Seattle, he's fine. Philip Hronek, longtime Red Wing, is also not going to move the needle at all. As you can see, he was playing first line minutes in Detroit, and now he's on a second line with Ian Cole in Vancouver. So that's kind of how it is. And then you're cursed as long as you have Tyler Myers on your roster.
Yeah, he is an absolute curse.
The only point of positive, I don't even know. Maybe it's just hope, I guess. Like, I don't know. I really want to be a Thatcher Demko cheerleader.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want Thatcher Demko to be good. I liked his story. I like the kid. It seems like he's a good guy. I want it to work. And we have seen him have moments where he is good. But I don't know. To me, I'm seeing a lot of parallels with Carter Hart.
I get you there. I definitely see where you're coming from. Thatcher Demko, I think, he's proved in the past that he's a good goalie.
Yeah.
Same
with Carter Hart.
Yeah, but for this team, right? For this team, my issue is what Demko's done in the last couple years is just get injured, and you're gonna throw Spencer Martin into that fucking net. It's just, I don't know. So that's definitely why they're at 6th and probably the weakest division in the entire league.
And if they decide to sell, this team could get even worse. So
sure, 100%.
All right. Let's jump into. I want to jump into the LA Kings. How about
Okay.
that, huh?
Yeah, sure.
You've got the Kings a little higher than I do. Actually, here I'll bump over to that real quick, just so everybody can be reminded of our picks here.
Before you do that, Chance, let's talk about a sponsor of the network.
Okay, let's do that.
Awesome. Football is back, folks, and it's in full swing with another week of epic games. And who's got you covered on the action for every single one of them? DraftKings Sportsbook does, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet $5 on football and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Don't know if you've been listening to the pod, that's $50 more than usual. Nobody's missing out on the action this season. All DraftKings customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every game this September. Get in on the NFL Week 2 action with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code THPN, as in the Hockey Podcast Network, to sign up. New customers can bet just $5 and take home 200 instantly bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. The crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.sot1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football. Terms for eligibility and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply.
So, what I heard was if you're in Ontario, it sucks to be you.
Yeah, 100%. Please don't use the app responsibly if you're in Ontario. That's all I got from that.
That's what I picked up from that. All right, LA Kings, Taylor.
Yes.
Now I know you have a lot of strong feelings about this team.
Love them. Favorite fans.
That's right. I'll take the lead on this one because I recently gave a famous opinion on it. My fellow podcast network hosts, speaking with I believe it's the King's Ransom podcast.
Yep.
The Hockey Podcast Network. See, I'm Googling it right now because
it's that easy.
It is that easy. You just type it into Google and boom, you're right there. I believe King's Realm, the King's Realm podcast. That's close. Right, King's Realm. King's Ransom is good too. King's Realm podcast. Talking with them, and I learned a lot more about the Kings than I thought I was going to. The PLD acquisition, not only outside of the organization but internally as well, has been met with mixed emotions. Apparently, Kings fans are split on the acquisition of PLD, and that's probably arguably their biggest signing. But this is a team that actually had quite a bit of turnover, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think. We just kind of hone in on the attendees there, right? So I mean, it kind of feels like a big turnover. I don't think they had a ton. They were able to hold on to Gavrikov. Philip Deneau's still there. They have some of those guys, right? Victor Arvidsson, those kind of guys. So I think this team is relatively similar. I think you're going to see some of the young guys get a little bit of an elevated role. Kaliev, Byfield, those kind of guys. Guys that Kings fans love to remind me are there. So I think for me this team is pretty solid up front. The defense looks terrible on paper, but it's one that they pretty much had last year. So and they had a decent team last year. So I mean, it's just I'm expecting some of the young guys to take a little bit of a jump. And you're basically rolling out Korpisalo and Phoenix Copley, which they had some success with down the stretch last year. So I do like this team a little bit higher than you. I think there's still plenty of teams in this division that are better than them. But this, what is it? 3, 4, 5 realm of teams could honestly go either way. So it'll be interesting to kind of see. I think that's probably we're always wrong. We suck at this, but it's that 3, 4, 5 is always kind of the battle, and we kind of mix those up. So, I think I have LA at 5.
Well, I know that you're wrong on this because in your mind, Jonas Corposalo still plays for this team, which he does not. So
He should.
he should, but he does not. In your mind, he does. In reality, though, the goaltending duo is Phoenix Copley and Cam Talbot.
Correct. I never said that Corpusalo was still there. I think I said down the stretch last year that's the tandem
Yes,
they
yes,
had.
okay, all right.
So
No,
this is a very similar tandem to what they had down the stretch. But
I would.
that just
I disagree. I think Cam Talbot is, but I'm on record. I'm a Cam Talbot hater. I think he is aggressively mediocre. This guy is just he's no team he's ever been on. Okay, let me before I say that statement. Cam Talbot.
I can tell you all the teams that guy's
Right here, I just Googled it and immediately. Google says Cam Talbot is a Canadian professional ice hockey goaltender that has never won anything. Right there, says it. It's in his bio, actually.
He's on the Ontario Reign. Yeah.
Former NHL teams: Los Angeles Kings, New York Rangers, Edmonton Oilers, Philadelphia Flyers, Calgary Flames, Minnesota Wild, and Ottawa Senators.
Oof. That hurts.
So bouncing around a lot. No, he was so Edmonton obviously didn't win there. Flyers wasn't there. Flames. I really don't like. To me, Cam Talbot is one of these goalies in the league that's a placeholder goalie. Like you are either very confident that you can win without good goaltending, you just need all right goaltending, or you need somebody that's not completely trash to stand in front of the net while you have another mess season. Yeah. Adding Cam Talbot does not scream to me, oh, we're going to take this season seriously. This screams to me that, Cam's good enough to maybe get us into the playoffs, and then who knows what happens.
100%.
But that's because as much as because I don't want to rag on your boy Phoenix. I even said this in the show, in the live stream. But like, is Phoenix really a starting? Is he going to start 60 games this season?
I mean, I love Phoenix Copley because that's my claim to fame. But to be honest with you, he's probably an AHL goalie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he had a really nice season last year. He's had a couple nice seasons, in Washington when he was a fill-in. But he's realistically, I mean, I'll say he's a backup. But they basically have two backups, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that. So
nice.
So. To summarize my recap of the Kings, PLD is overrated. I think that this guy is, yes, I'm a little biased based on, the infamous shift. I don't. If you're a PLD follower, you know what I'm talking about. It's that clip of him in Columbus where he was, you and I have skated faster in beer league games on a shift than this guy skated in Columbus one shift where he just came out and literally just phoned it in. It's the infamous the shift, and then it's basically what is pointed to as his trade out of Columbus. So, got him to Winnipeg, and that he wanted the trade, but he didn't necessarily get to play. He wanted to get out of Columbus, but he didn't necessarily get to pick the place. The defenders of PLD are that's it. Like, he wanted to out of Columbus, but he didn't get to go where he wanted to go. He went to Winnipeg, which is basically just another Columbus, but in Canada. Didn't like it there either. Now he's got the long-term deal. Now he got to pick where he wanted to be and who he wanted to play with. So that's why he's going to play well. I don't see it that way. I just don't. I'm not saying that PLD is bad. I'm just saying that I think a lot of people are overrating what he can do. And I think the Kings paid a pretty steep price for the guy, all things considered. And I just don't know if he's not a locker room guy, in my opinion. And I just don't think he's going to move the needle too much for this team to really make a push. But what do I know?
Yeah, you basically paid that price for your third line center in Philip Janot. Why are we doing that?
Right.
Last thing I'll say, look out for Brant Clark. That kid could be better than. I know a lot of people are sucking Jake Sanderson's dick right now. There's a lot of, obviously, Moritz Seider is going to be good. This kid could be better than fucking a lot of those guys. He could be the goal scoring Quinn Hughes. I think he's that good. So.
I refuse to believe that anybody will be better than Moritz Sider. Guy's a fucking
Wrong.
stud. Wrong.
That's wrong.
Just
That's the end of the episode.
anytime somebody says that, all I think of is that clip where that poorly clipped newsreel of Moritz Sider on highlights, and it just says Moritz Sider leads all rookie defensemen in ass.
Ass.
It's like, goddamn right he does.
Sure does.
Good for him. That's what got him the Calder, really.
Yeah, he leads an ass.
That set him over the edge, I think, anyway. Okay, so going back to our list here, this is where we kind of start deviating. So I had the Kings there. Let's go to Calgary. Let's go to Calgary. We'll save Seattle. The Calgary Flames on the recent live stream that I did on the Hockey Podcast Network. The Flames were very much a not to hit the nail on the head, but literal and figuratively, a wild card. Mm-hmm. Okay, this team could either be very good or very bad, and I think it's
between 3 and 5.
They're honestly, a lot of people don't know where this team is going to be, and it's all. I'm taking a more optimistic approach to it, but if anybody's coming up to me going like, "No, actually, Calgary's going to be bottom 3," I'd be like, I mean, it's possible.
I couldn't go that far.
No?
No.
Okay. So I'll lead us. I'll start us out on this. So this is a team that has, for all intents and purposes, they have claimed that the problem in this the problem with this team, other than the shitty arena and all that, but I refuse to believe that an arena can cause that much of an issue. Like, at the end of the day, you're a hockey player. As long as you got ice that's not completely dog shit, and you're in the NHL, so you're going to get pampered and catered to. That shouldn't be an issue. And if it is, then that might be more of a morale locker room issue. What I like here is that Sutter's gone, and all the players have pointed to that this was the problem, that all the trade demands were coming in because, like, as long as this fucking dude's behind the bench, I'm not going to play for this team. I don't want to play for this team. And it kind of goes back to, I talked about this on the live stream. Sutter comes from that generation of, watching Herb Brooks, right? Where, it's if they hate me, they don't have time to hate each other, and they'll unify around that, and we'll go from there. I just don't think players think that way anymore. And Daryl Sutter's mentality and his mantra to coaching just doesn't really play well anymore, especially with younger kids, especially on a long enough time frame. So looking at this team now, you've got a lot of turnover and a lot of question marks. Is Jonathan Huberdeau what they traded for? Is Mackenzie Weegar what they traded for? Is Lindholm gonna stick around? Is Nazem Kadri still got years left in him? There's and not to mention the big question mark, in my opinion, is Jacob Markstrom gonna come back? Because Daniel Vladar has had more than enough opportunities to steal that net, and he hasn't done it. I think Vladar has very much cemented himself as a backup goalie. So at the end of the day, is Jacob Markstrom going to get his form back, or is we're destined for another, Cam Talbot situation? I'd like to not think not. I was very impressed when Jacob Markstrom was always good to me in my eyes with Vancouver. When Vancouver was doing bad, I never thought it was because of. I rarely thought it was because of Jacob Markstrom. So I hope that he has a bounce back year. I hope he plays a little better. We've seen him play great. I don't know. On paper, I think that this team looks good, and it's enough to, at least at bare minimum, do better than they did last year. Oh, Taylor, can't hear you, bud.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Good thing I didn't say anything fucking important.
Yeah, you were just talking about your dick.
Yeah. It's shriveled and stinks. So I was trying to get you to laugh while you're drinking that.
Oh God, I gave you the okay.
Yeah, give me a good one there. So I think on paper, right, the reason I have them ranked a little higher than LA this is a better team, right? And
Mm.
somebody on the back side, right? So we're talking about Markstrom, we're talking about Vladar. I don't know if it's Vladar or Vladar, but I want to go with Vladar because it sounds like bladder, and that's
I
funny.
want to go with Vader.
Vader, yeah, it does look like Darth Vader,
Hmm.
huh? They have a guy who for me personally, I think kind of is going to fall into that backup role. I honestly would put money down that he wins it out of camp. Spencer Wolf is a damn good goalie. So I think someone like Spencer Wolf is going to put a little bit more pressure on a goalie like Markstrom, who has shown in the past that he's good. And I think it's going to help elevate his game because he's going to know if he does not, he's playing 20 to 30 games tops for the
Hmm.
season, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I think Spencer Wolf is somebody on the back end to keep an eye on. I think from a top six perspective, right? I like Brant Clark, I like Gavrikov, and I like as much as I hate Doughty as a human being, he's still a good defenseman in the league. Getting a little older, but he's still a good defenseman. I still think Calgary has the edge on the back end. All right, so
Mm.
I still think you're going to
On
see a better
paper,
season out of Uyghur.
on paper, I definitely agree with you, and I think both you and I are actually more bullish on Calgary than a lot of other people are.
Yeah,
We do like you because you and I are from that world of hockey where we understand that a coaching change where you get somebody that's truly a toxic coach that you just fucking hate, like
yeah, yeah.
you'll take I don't know a player coach that just stands there and basically like just orders line changes.
Sure,
You would prefer that over the dickhead that you just had.
100%.
So like I do think that does make a change. Like it was very clear that the system, whatever system that Sutter was pushing, they weren't buying it.
Yeah, and to go even further on that, right? You bring in your two of your top position players on the team were brought in right before the season, right? And then they get brought into a coach like Daryl Sutter, and I think it was a bad mixture. So I think what is it, Huska or Huxa or something like that. I think it's just going to be a better situation for those guys, and both of them are they're hockey players. They're too proud. They're going to try to have a bounce back year, and you're basically saying your second pairing defenseman who is probably going to play most of the power play minutes if he's playing well, and your top point getter on this team, especially with Toffoli gone, they're going to want a bounce back year. And so if you see anything close to what they were doing in Florida, the rest of the players around them, I think, are strong enough to where this team could easily finish, third overall in this division. So,
Yep.
yeah, interesting team. It's going to be a team that everybody's going to be watching, especially because they're Canadian. But I think you're going to see a bounce back from every level of their lineup because you can go from goalie to fucking Huberdeau, and they're all going to try to have better years. So
I
it'll be interesting.
I am positive in that. I'm not as bullish of them on them as you are, but I do think that they have a bounce back season, and I do think they are a wild card
Yeah.
push for a
Yeah.
team for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see that. Last thing on the Flames, Mackenzie Weegar captain? Question mark.
I mean, maybe if he's a locker room guy, sure. You
Maybe
know.
Chris Tanev.
Yeah. I mean, it's all that's a Jordan Stahl question, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
you're in that realm, but
The only other one that comes to mind is Lindholm, but Lindholm's kind of made it clear he doesn't want to be there anymore.
yeah, I don't think it's a Lindholm guy. I think it's yeah. I mean, you're either gonna see probably Huberto Uyghur, maybe Tanev.
Huberdeau.
Yeah,
But that's like the skill big name pick. That's not actual the
sure,
you know.
sure, but a lot of teams do that, and he was an assistant captain in Florida.
What about
Had
Kadri?
some success. So that was another name. I mean, who knows? I don't know what he's like in the locker room. He kind of seems like a dick.
He does. He does definitely seem like a dick, but he seems like that kind of guy that like he's one of those dicks that like the coach is like, you know what, I want you to take on this responsibility,
Sure.
and he'll be like, oh
I can
yeah,
see that.
I could do that, coach. And then he like has a 180 and finds Jesus or something.
Yeah. I could see it.
I could see it too.
Sounds right.
All right, the moment of truth. A lot of our listeners have been waiting for this one. Folks, it's time to talk about the Seattle Kraken. And folks, I think even with Taylor's lower, he's just doing this to be a dick, I think.
Sure.
Even
Yeah, I mean, you just stop reading me.
Yeah, even with Taylor's lower than for sure pick of the Seattle Kraken, I think both of us can sit here and say that this is a very promising looking team.
On the front end. I mean, on the back end, you have the exact same fucking players.
I would say you have more question marks on the back end.
I mean, are you going to get the exact same Jamie Alexiak that you did last year and the year before?
No.
Or are you going to get Jamie Alexiak that played with Klingberg and, had a good fucking season?
Sure.
The 2 years with Seattle, if anybody's going to tell me he's going to look like the player what he was in Dallas, I'll buy you a beer, dude, because you have some positivity in your heart, and I love that. But it's just the same. It's essentially the same exact backend.
I agree.
If you have playoff Grubauer, they could easily be 3. You could be looking at them to be competing with our top 2 teams. But
I have
hard for me to.
I mentioned on the live stream they've got Drieger on here. I think Joey Dackard takes this spot.
I agree.
Yeah, it's going to be Joey Dackard, and I honestly think that Joey Dackard takes some starts away from Grubauer. Because even if it's the excuse of like we want Grubauer to be fresh for the playoffs, I think that they it's maybe like a 50-30 split.
Yeah. To me, I mean, if you're looking at the way that we're doing this, right, ranking wise, if you're looking at the goalie situation in Seattle versus LA, I mean, how much more confident can you be, right? Like, to me, it's
Grubauer. To me, Grubauer is a slightly better version than Talbot to me, but I have much more confidence in Joey Dackard than I do in Phoenix Copley.
See, what has Grubauer shown me in the 2 years he's been in Seattle? He's
not much.
Cam Talbot. I mean, he's not even a better version of Cam Talbot. He is a Cam Talbot. Like
he had a great playoffs, and the Grubauer defenders would argue that since he got back from injury, he has been better. Okay. I understand. I'm trying to play devil's advocate. You know that we don't hold our punches on Philip Grubauer. If he's bad, he's bad. If he's good, he's good. And we say it right here plainly on the show. And he ended the season on a good note.
Sure.
So you're optimistic that carries over. And if you're being more optimistic, you're hoping that even if it doesn't, you've got Chris Drieger and or Joey Dackard waiting in the wings that are ready to pick up some slack. And from what we saw from Joey Dackard last year, I think he's more than up to the look. How many games do you think Philip Grubauer starts next year? Because I guarantee you it's not a number over 60.
No, it's 50 maybe.
That sounds about right. More realistically, probably 40.
It's such a small sample size from Joey Dackard, though. That's
Agreed.
my concern there, right? So,
but he played well in the AHL too. It's everything to me.
Beast. That's a different beast, though.
It is. That's 100% is. But when he had his moments with the big club, he didn't feel out of place. It wasn't like that's an AHL goalie. Like he looked solid. He looked confident, and I was happy with him. Now, and honestly, maybe the guy that in our conversation that's getting left out the most is Chris Drieger because he's just been hurt and hasn't really had a chance to, prove that he is in the running. Because remember, there was a time where we thought that Chris Drieger was destined for the net.
Yeah, and a summer to be able to recuperate. I get that. So I don't get me wrong. I think Kraken still have a better goalie tandem than LA, but it's not that far of a gap, man.
I agree.
It's really not.
I agree. It's not. We're the strength of this team is not its goaltending, and it's not its defense. The goaltending is very much a wild card at the moment, and the defense is fine, passable.
But how long are you going to be able to say, yeah, our offense is going to bail us out of
I was
every fucking game?
I was gonna say,
It's
so
just that's tough.
let's be positive on this, because I would make an argument that this is one of, if not the deepest team in the league.
Up front, yes.
Yes, up front, of course. That's not. I was just talking offensive lines,
Okay.
like that. A fourth line of Brandon Tanev, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, and Kyler Yamamoto.
That's nice.
That stands toe to toe with most fourth lines in the league, if not better. Like that.
Yeah.
That's an okay third line.
Yep.
Ellie Tolvin and Yanni Gordon, Oliver Bjorkstrand should be a second line. Jaden Schwartz, Alex Wenberg, and Burakovsky is a second line. McCann, Beniers, and Eberle is a really good second line, okay first line.
1B, yeah.
Yeah, it's a 1B. So, but this has been the strength of the Seattle Kraken. We hit you with 4 lines. We roll 4 lines deep, and we're just going to beat you with depth. It's not a bad system, and it looks like they've just doubled down on it, because adding Kyler... Okay, let's not beat around the bush. Did they add Kyler Yamamoto because he's a homeboy? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
That was 100% fan service. He comes in cheap. I wouldn't even be surprised if by the time he retires, Tyler Johnson pulls on the sweater for the Seattle Kraken.
Sure.
I wouldn't put it out the realm of possibility. That being said, Yamamoto is an asset if he stays healthy, and if he doesn't, I don't know if you've heard of guys like Cartier and what is it, Riker?
Yeah, well, Riker's a D, but yes.
Oh, right. Who am I thinking of? Not Riker Evans, but the other guy, Cartier, and
I mean, Shane Wright's gonna play in the AHL.
It was the other guy that they pulled up quite a bit last year.
Yeah, I couldn't remember him last. He's the redhead.
I keep wanting to say Johnson, but that's not right. In any case, there's the Kraken have a plethora of AHL players that are ready to come up and pinch hit immediately when someone gets hurt. Depth is not a problem on this offensive core.
Right.
And I think now that they've got a full season, they're energized from last year. I think they're ready to take that next step. Matty Beniers is only going to get better. Jared McCann, I honestly think is going to probably take he's not going to score 40 goals this year, but will he score 30 goals? Yes.
Yeah, and you're going to get hopefully an entire season of Burakovsky, and Bjorkstrand's going to be a better player. So
Burakovsky, you're hoping for 30 goals?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Bjorkstrand, you're looking for probably 30 goals?
20 to 30 from him. It would be,
you're hoping at least?
Nice.
Yeah.
25 would be nice.
And if everybody else, if Yanni Gord can put in 2025, Ellie's putting in 2025, Schwartz 2025, you're looking pretty good.
Yeah, but you're
letting in a lot of goals.
You're letting in.
I hear you. I hear you. And
those, right?
And everything that you're saying makes total sense if you're looking at it from a negative perspective. I just see it as they've had that full year to see what they did wrong, and I'm hoping that they adjust for it. It's not just going to be status quo from the year before when you bring back the same squad. I hope that they learn from lessons, tighten up a little bit. Dumoulin, the only addition on the D, he helps out a little bit. He's a minor upgrade, in my opinion. But no, you're right. The goaltending is a huge question mark on this team.
Grubauer plays anywhere close to the way he did in the playoffs, this team is battling for second more than they're battling for fourth, right? So, I mean, it really does come to, the 6D and the 10Ds. And, I mean, if those question marks are answered quickly, right, then, this is a whole different story. But because that offense is so good, I just, there's some glaring holes, but I mean, let's stay optimistic. I do think Grubauer is going to at least be in the middle of his playoffs and his fucking regular season. Right?
Right.
He has to be in the middle of that.
Yep.
If he does that, this team is much more competitive, especially in this division. So
I agree.
He's a big X factor.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay. Say the Kraken 2 weeks before the deadline are sitting second in the division.
Mm-hmm.
Does Ron Francis consider making a move for a goalie at the deadline?
No.
Okay.
No. And the reason is he's not going to put any sort. If he can move Grubauer at the same time,
Mm.
maybe. But it's just, yeah, to
He's
me,
kind of stuck with him, isn't he?
he's kind of stuck with him. He signed him for 4 or 5 years, man. And that's a long fucking time, right? To have 2 of the years that he did, the playoffs were great. Don't get me wrong. Grubauer played like he should have been playing his contract, right? Like
And
that's the goalie they needed.
look,
But
Grubauer's got a solid fan. I would say he's probably a split between everybody. Yeah, there was the people that were like, a lot of people Maya Copa, they're fair weather fans. They were like, oh, Grubauer's terrible, and then he had the good playoffs, and he's like, oh, I take it all back. Yeah, right. So like we're going to weigh it based on what it is. Like, did Grubauer play better last season than he did the first season? Absolutely. Like it's not even close. He was downright bad the first season. Like that was bad. Second season, injuries, moving around, he didn't play as many games. But when he was in, he wasn't. We weren't sitting here going like, "Fuck, Philip Grubauer's in, we're gonna fucking lose." It wasn't that situation. And in the playoffs, he did play very well. So he can show that when he wants to, he can turn it on. So I think it's a confidence issue. He goes in, and when the team's behind him and they rally around it, and I think that playoffs is what is going to push this team to the next. Like it's not a situation where, Florida could be, they could be good this year, or fuck, man, it's a Montreal situation where they just fall back to the bottom. Mm-hmm. This situation, I think that they take the success of what happened last year and they build on that. So I'm optimistic for this Kraken team, and I think maybe even some additions on the defense. I don't necessarily have somebody in mind, but I do think that this team is on the up and up, and in this division, stacking up pretty well.
Anything's possible in Pacific, man.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, not everything. But
San Jose can't be number one, but I mean, there's a good chance that
they definitely
the rest of it can be shifted.
Well, you know what? I could see a scenario where they're number one. I could see that.
Yeah, they got to really fucking turn it on.
Well, and it would not necessarily that. It would also require a lot of underperforming by the two teams that we have above them.
Yeah.
Or you have 4 teams above them, but so. We'll just do them in order here. Let's take the Golden Knights. So you've got them in second. I've got them in first. Defending Stanley Cup champs right now. Looking at their daily face-off, Taylor, this team hasn't. This is basically the team that just won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
It's still going to be a good fucking team. I think, we looked at it the same way with Tampa, right? Tampa, we talked with Coop about it. Coop was like, yeah, we just have so much fucking turnover. So they were able to avoid that a little bit. It's just, for me, are you going to get the exact same level of goaltending that you got last year? There's no way, right?
Really? Okay.
Are you kidding me?
I'm a big Aiden Hill fan.
Sure, you can.
I'm a big Aiden Hill and Logan Thompson fan.
You can be a big Aiden Hill and Logan Thompson fan, and to say that there's not going to be any regression, you're saying that those two goaltenders are some of the best goalies we've seen in the last 100 years. You're going to see regression with those guys. There's absolutely no fucking way. If they don't regress, I will eat my crow. But I think
Aiden Hill perhaps, but Logan Thompson's just getting started. I think he's a young kid.
But you're basically saying that he is the next Shesterkin, Vasilevsky, Sorokin. There's no way to know.
No,
that. There's absolutely no way to know that.
I'm not saying that.
I mean, but the season that those guys had with the smaller sample size, you're basically saying that those guys you're going to pass guys like Otter. That's impossible to do, man. I just don't think those guys are that good. So I'm not saying that they're bad. I still think whoever comes out on top is, with this team in front of them, I still think that, especially from a fantasy perspective, that's potentially, that's a top 10 goalie.
Oh, yeah.
It's just to say that there's not going to be any regression from those guys, I think that's reckless, bro.
I would agree with you a little bit on Aiden Hill, but but between the two, though, like, I see a situation where they just roll them, 40 and 40. With Bruce Cassidy, he's never been afraid to play goalies like that. I don't know. I could see that tandem working out quite well, and as long as you keep Leonard away with a fucking 20-foot pole,
Sure.
even if Leonard comes back 20 games in, he's like, hey, I'm actually feeling really better. Like, Bruce Cassidy needs to take a fucking chair to him, WWE style.
And they should film it.
Yeah, and well, he would want filmed so he could sell it because he's bankrupt from his snake farm.
Yeah. 100%.
I think that's the big story here. The Golden Knights winning the Stanley Cup has taken away from the story of Robin Leonard going bankrupt from his snake farm. Look it up, folks. Google it.
Yeah, and then he's a locker room problem, you know, because he's just begging dudes for money for his snake farm.
He just comes in with fucking. He's like Alice Cooper. He's just got fucking snake around his neck.
Hell yeah.
He got some guy. He's got some guy to dress him. He's like, hey, mind the snake, man. Have you ever met Tulip?
Yeah, I could see it.
I don't know why he named the snake Tulip, but
he only eats tulips.
People named strippers named Tulip.
Yes. Yeah. It's the next hurricane is Hurricane Tulip now.
Oh shit. Okay. That's like Sharknado but with snakes.
Yes. Snakes on a
Snake a cane.
Snake a cane, there you go.
Oh, there we go. Now we just the Carolina Hurricanes need to tune in.
Yeah, I think the goalies are still going to have a good season, right? I think both of these guys, they're not going to have a ridiculous regression down towards, the 900 mark. They're going to have a similar season. I think it's going to be a little bit worse, but I don't think that's going to affect this team.
Dude, this team has an absolute chance of repeating.
Yeah, they really do. I think there's stronger teams in the East, especially on paper.
It's the same team. Like, barring our inside source saying that the loss of Riley Smith is a dagger to the heart kind of thing.
Sure.
If that's not too much of an embellishment, like, look, on ice production, Riley Smith was a replaceable player.
Yeah.
Like, was he an original misfit? Yes. Was he, probably a good locker room dude that had a lot of experience? Absolutely. But on ice production, Riley Smith is replaceable.
Yeah,
and that's their only. Oh, and they lost Phil Kessel, who didn't play.
That's their big miss right there.
But they just lost their heart and soul. They lost their heart and stomach.
Yeah, I honestly don't disagree, and the only reason I do is because once you get to the Stanley Cup, anything's possible, right? The East Coast teams are going to beat the shit out of each other. There's some good fucking teams over there, but you only play one of them, right? And you play them after they just fucking beat the hell out of each other. So, yeah, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that they could easily repeat. They're going to be towards the top, if not the top team again.
If you look at this team's path, it's very like the playbook to win the Stanley Cup last year for this team is very similar to win the Stanley Cup this year. Like, if I'm Golden Knights, if I'm McPhee, I think that's his name right now. Mm-hmm. He's sitting there going like, I just need to beat Edmonton. If I can beat Edmonton, I will get to the Stanley Cup final once again.
Yeah.
I understand that that's kind of a point from arrogance. Like, he's not given credit, but if I'm McPhee, I'm sitting here going like, I need to worry about Edmonton, and that's it. Yeah. Once I get past Edmonton, I am, maybe Dallas is an issue, but I have the same team from last year. They're motivated. I just need to beat Edmonton, and this team hasn't changed, and neither has Edmonton to a degree. We'll get to them in a second, but I don't know, man. They're bringing all the guys back, and normally that works out pretty well.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. They're going to be one or two. There's no doubt in my mind. So.
No way about it. Like, any of the compliments and positive things that we would say about this team are things that we've been saying for a while. Like, Ivan Barbashev has become an absolute sensation in Vegas. He's fitting in perfectly on that first line with Jack Eichel. Marchessault is, having a renaissance. He's always counted on for secondary scoring next to Eichel. Eichel's playing great hockey. Brett Howden is, a filler, but working great with Mark Stone and Chandler Stevenson. Mark Stone, there's a rumor out there that he may never play a full season again because he's just having so many back issues, and very convenient. But in any case, whether it's true or not, like he's going to get arrested Mark Stone for the playoffs. Paul Cotter is like way underrated. I like the guy a lot. Will Carlson is a second line center on a worse team. So the fact that he's a third line center here is just proves to the depth of this team. Mike Amadio is, I think, a system guy that comes from the Vegas system. He's awesome. And then that fourth line is pretty much unchanged for a while. Carrier, Roy, Wah, and Kolazar have just been around for a while. So this is, fuck, man, there's no reason to think that this team can't do it again.
Yep, completely agree.
Unless the next team we're going to talk about and the last team we're going to talk about, the Edmonton Oilers, somehow find a way to do it.
They have to at some point, or McDavid's gonna fucking leave, right? Like, I mean, we gotta be prepared for that.
Yeah, I would. I think it's safe to say at this point that it's Stanley Cup or bust for Connor McDavid. Like, if he does not win a Stanley Cup by the time he gets, how many years he got left on his contract? 3?
That's
2?
That's a good question. Yeah, he's probably three. I would say 3.
You look that up while I pull up Daily Faceoff.
Yeah. I mean, this is another team. They could also surprise us and be really shitty for some reason, right? Like, things just don't click. But I think more realistically, they're going to be in that top 2 conversation, if not all year, definitely by the end of the year. It's just with Connor McDavid and Draisaitl putting up the amount of points that they can put up on a regular night, they're just going to will that team to fucking victory. So,
but is that a recipe for playoff success?
I mean, no, right? But I mean, we're talking about regular season rankings, right?
That's fair. And we are. And it's kind of my similar thoughts to how I had for Toronto. I see Toronto winning that division, if not being very high up in it, but I don't see them going any further than they have been in the past in the playoffs. And this team, looking at, I mean, you got your usual suspects here. You brought in Zach Hyman, who is an improvement for sure. Connor Brown is just Connor Brown. I don't know. I don't think very highly of him. Well, it's not that I think he's bad. He's a guy to put next to Connor McDavid. Sure. Nuge is, stop trying to make Nuge happen. It's not going to happen. He is what he is. But if you stick him on a line with Leon Draisaitl and Evander Kane, stick my ass next to Leon Draisaitl and Evander Kane, and I'm going to put up some points.
That's right, dude. You can put a fucking fourth line grinder with this team. That's going to fucking work out for you.
What a cush fucking job for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Yeah, that's sick, dude.
Oh my god, he must love coming to work every day. He has the easiest job in the NHL. He just fucking
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
He's just like Leon and Evander are just fucking tearing it up, and Nuge is just like kind of there, and they're bouncing pucks off of him to get to the other person. That makes him sound like a plug. Nuge is a serviceable player. He's a good hockey player. He's just not, he's not the comparable like player that they thought he was going to be. I think they were thinking he was going to be more like an Evander Kane type, and he's not. So
he's still a 100-point player last year, bro.
Yeah, well, take him off of a line with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and we'll see if he can duplicate that.
Yeah, I mean, he can't, but he can't. It's still a feat to hit 100. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay, so I look at this team, and I said this on the live stream too. Like, look, I have 2 clashing beliefs on this team because on one hand, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are arguably the 1 and 2 top players in the league. You throw McKinnon in there, sure. I'm sure if John Cooper were sitting here on this podcast, he would, throw Kucherov in there as well. I understand there's some arguments, but it's Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are definitely in the top 5, if not top 3. You've got these guys here; those are awesome. They're going to make anybody around them good. Evander Kane's good for 30 goals. The rest. This third line is a pretty pedestrian third line. The fourth line is, as much as I love Derek Ryan, it's nothing to write home about.
Sure.
And the defense, God, it's I don't under it. This looks like a Kenny Holland defense.
Yeah, the D hurts a little bit. It'll be interesting to see a full year of both Ekholm and Bouchard.
I love Matthias Ekholm. That is a fantastic ad. I think
Yep.
that is great. I just don't think it's enough. Darnell Nurse is not what they hoped he would be. I don't like Darnell Nurse. I just don't think that he's a number one or a number one defenseman.
I'd love to see with these D pairings. I'd love to see Bouchard and Nurse and Ekholm and CC.
That's better.
It'll be
That's
interesting.
better.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of see.
Yeah,
what they do
I think Darnell Nurse and Cody Ceci being on the same line is a recipe for disaster.
Oh, that's a bad idea. Well,
Darnell.
I don't want Darnell Nurse to be my top defenseman.
No.
I'm counting on for points and shit.
No.
Right? Like that's not what he's there for.
Absolutely not.
He's there to be a fucking psychopath and beat someone's face in, miss 2 games, and then come back and do the same shit.
That's correct.
That's what he's there for.
Yes, that's a second to third line defenseman, not a first line guy. And Cody Ceci, anybody who knows the hockey world knows that Cody Ceci is just replaceable.
Absolute fucking stud. Oh. All right, we're on different pages there, apparently.
Fucking fucking lock him up for 8 years, eh?
That's right, dude. I'm picking him up in fantasies, so
fucking
good.
Yeah, this defense, look, at the end of the day, if we're sitting here with a red-faced Edmonton Oilers, just absolute fanboy, they're gonna hate me for this. But look, the game plan of this team has not changed. Get the puck to fucking Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah, it's just the
maybe Evander Kane. But at the end of the day, it's get the puck to those guys.
Sure.
There's nothing else.
Regular season though, it works in the regular season, right? We're going over rankings for the regular season. They're going to get into the playoffs, and they're still not built for playoffs. So
no, they're not. The credit where credit is due. Matthias Ekholm can quarterback a power play if needed. Mm-hmm. I don't understand, but you're on a weird team where you don't have him on the first power play unit because you've got Leon and Connor. Yeah. And you're wanting to set up.
Yeah, because I think Bouchard's going to take over that first spot.
And I think that's really dumb.
Ekholm will be the number 2. I honestly, this team's biggest issue, right? The question mark is obviously going to be goaltending. Right?
There it is.
What are you going to get, right? Like they have Skinner as a starter, but they paid Campbell the money, so who knows what you're going to see.
I argued on the live, not that they can move the money around and make this happen, but I argued on the live, they are a Gibson or a Hellebuck away from being the Stanley Cup favorite.
Hunter, and maybe a D, because I'm with you there. I think they're D away still, but
if you get I think the D, like if they pick up a better goaltender, so like if they you pick up a what's a good example? Somebody that's like good but not great.
Crazy.
Aiden Hill, or in Aiden Hill, or who's that dude in Arizona right now?
Vajelnicek or whatever.
He's good. He's good. So I think maybe you get him, somebody like him, and then you get a defenseman. I get that, but if you get Gibson or Hellebuck, that defense will be fine.
Makes you a lot better then,
yeah. This is the problem, because Stuart Skinner and Jack Campbell are just not that. This is for some reason we're now comparing it to LA goalies, but is this duo much better than that?
Barely.
Barely is the correct answer. Yes.
To put their goalie tandem, I'd put Edmonton, Kraken, and LA in a very similar pool of tendies.
Yeah, I'd agree. But overall, I mean, you've got them taking the division, and I think that's possible. I mean, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are only getting better at the moment, and this team, while I don't think it was enough, did get slightly better. I do think Matthias Ekholm is good. It's just, you've got, at the end of the day, the game plan. This is not a deep team. This is not our success is based on us playing as a team. This team's success at the end of the day still comes down to it, and this is how they lose in the playoffs. If you can shut down Leon and you can shut down Connor, you will win the hockey game.
Sure, 100%.
That's what it comes down to.
Yep.
Honestly, that's
100%.
what it does. So, unfortunately, you can even it's funny. You make an argument that even when Connor or Leon, if they go down for an injury, this team might play a little better because they're forced to step up instead of the game plan of hey, if you see fucking 97 or 29 on the ice, you fucking pass them the puck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't exist.
Right.
It's
You
probably in their contracts to just like they have a maximum time on stick, for the
it's
puck or something.
it's not wins or playoffs. It's how many passes completed.
That's right. That's right. That's fucking brilliant, dude. I'd put that into every contract for this team.
I like that. I like that a lot. Holy shit. All right, folks, that's it. We did it. We got through everything and we didn't even.
Yeah, it's surprising, but we made it.
Somehow. To wrap up the show, we did mention that we would shout out the people that commented on us. Old Johnny Miller, Fire Chief John Miller, says he agrees with Vegas Fever Pod, and Vegas hit us with the Vegas Fever Pod. Shout out to them; they were with us on the live stream. Vegas, Edmonton, Seattle, LA, Calgary, Vancouver, Anaheim, San Jose. So. Just a slight deviation from our picks.
Yeah, not too bad. And of course, they're going to put Vegas at the front because they're a Vegas podcast. So
that makes sense. And honestly, like in that last live stream, he was doing a decent job of not being bragging. Like he was saying, like, oh, it could be this. At the end of the day, it was me that was basically defending Vegas. I was like, this team could easily repeat. Like.
Yeah, so he's not a hockey, like he didn't grow up playing hockey then, right? Because we would have been all over fucking bragging if the Kraken were for sure.
If the Kraken win the cup this year, they will be the favorites in my eyes the next year.
The next fucking century, bro.
Century.
Come on, I've passed the decade, dude. They're fucking favorites for the next 100 years.
Oh, that's good shit. And then we've got Anthony. Anthony says, "Stay sleeping on the Kings."
Oh, I disagree there, Anthony. But
I definitely disagree. But Anthony, you know what? You might prove us wrong. You do have quite a bit of LA Kings stuff on your Twitter feed, especially this latest video with those chrome buckets, which it's not. Those aren't great. Those aren't great. Those were directly made to clash with the Vegas ones.
100%, and they're both ugly as fuck.
That's so terrible. They're so awful, so terrible. But you know what? Maybe we're wrong, Kings fans. Maybe you guys will prove us wrong, and a mid defense and bad goaltending might surprise us.
You just never know.
Yep, you never know. So, folks, before we sign off with you here. Thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. Please subscribe to us. We are on DB Hockey Pod on Twitter and the Dusty Mender Hockey Pod on Facebook. And if you can go to, we're on YouTube, Spotify, all that stuff. So if you can subscribe to us, we would really appreciate that kind of stuff. In the future episodes, we're going to start getting back into fantasy hockey.
Hey.
We're in 2 leagues actually this year. One of our own hockey, the DB Hockey namesake league, and then we're also joining up with some of our fellow co-hosts from the Hockey Podcast Network and doing a little draft. So that'll be fun as well, and we'll keep you apprised on all that stuff. So if you are a fantasy hockey player and looking for some tips and stuff, wait till the end of our episodes, and we will have our fantasy hockey corner coming back, a favorite from year 1.
I'm a little nervous to have a team with you, though, dude. You've missed the playoffs 2 years in a row, right?
What are you talking? No, I've lost in the playoffs 2 years in a row.
Well, I think. Oh yeah. Either way, you suck. So.
I won 2 years in a row, and then
Yeah, that seems like forever ago, right?
You got to rebuild, man. Like you can't have a dynasty like that and just continue to keep going. Like you got to rebuild the team.
That's fair. I'm sick of rebuilding because we're Ducks and Red Wings fans too. So
yeah, what was you won? Over it. You won this last year, but fuck, you were only 2 years removed from being like last in the league, right?
No, I've never been. I've made the playoffs every year. I haven't had a good team in like 4 years.
Okay, that's fair.
So, and the key to success is apparently cooking pot stickers as you're drafting, because I absolutely fucking slayed it this year. So
That's right. You did. It really wasn't even close, honestly. You
yeah,
just
it was
kicked
a
the shit
little
out
bit
of
of a
everybody.
yeah, it's a
That
little
that
bit of
was
a
that was
fluke.
like my second year when I won and I was able to buy Mars blades with the winnings because
Yeah.
I just dusted everybody. It wasn't even close.
So the moral of the story here is don't have a podcast if you want Mars blades and win your fantasy league. Because I got
I
like
think
30 bucks.
that is the lesson here.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, folks. Thanks again for listening in. And in episode 120, we'll be wrapping up our division previews with the Central Division.
Ooh.
That'll be a good one. And finally, maybe we'll even reach out to old Fire Chief Miller.
Hey. All right.
Here, talk to one of the few Nashville fans out there.
They do exist.
They do indeed. All right, everybody. Peace out.